Welcome everybody to the fourth and final day in CIOL's Technology for Translators Week. I am Dom Hebblethwaite from the Chartered Institute of Linguists. First of all, Allegrizzo's brilliant talk for CIOL on Monday, giving an overview of technology for translators. We moved on to the product demos for MemoQ and MemSource. And for the final session, we will give the stage to Trados. CIOL is not endorsing any individual CAT tool. Our aim is to ensure that our members are aware of some of the main options available to translators. And I think that anybody with even a passing interest in CAT tools would agree that any tour of technology for translators would not be complete without a good look at Trados. So I'm delighted to welcome not one, but two people from Trados. On the marketing side, we have Nicole Loney to give us an overview presentation and cover the more commercial questions. Nicole, how are you today?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, and I'm really good. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great, thank you. On the technical side, we have someone who may well be familiar to any long-standing Trados Studio users, the legendary Trados expert, Lydia Simplicio. If there is anything that Lydia does not know about the powerful Trados software, I can assure you it's not worth knowing. Lydia, how are you today?
Thank you for your kind introduction. I'm very well, thank you, and I do share your celebration, Dominic.
Thank you very much. Okay, wonderful. So I'll pass over the controls in just a minute, but just before we start, it would be very helpful and great if our viewers could complete some quick and anonymous polls. Some of you may already be familiar with the first question, which I will just launch now. Hopefully you can see that. This is, do you use a CAT tool? And it's a simple yes/no question. The votes are coming in. Thank you very much. We'll just hold this just a little bit longer. Okay, I'm just going to close it now. So, yeah, 62% yes, 38% no. So thank you very much for that. The second question, which I'll just launch now, these are coming from Trados. I would just like to stress for everyone from a GDPR perspective, once again, your votes are anonymous. They will not be used by CIOL or shared with Trados or indeed anyone else. It's really to help us get a snapshot of the audience and help the presentation and demo. So the votes are coming in. We're getting a pretty even split between 21 and 19, and then a number of people who are not using Trados Studio, either using other CAT tools or perhaps not using a CAT tool at the moment. That is great. So just to share the results there. Okay. The next question. What do you currently use to keep track of your jobs, quotes, invoices, payments, etc.? Good old Excel, email, Studio InQuote, Trados Business Manager, or another business management tool. Once again, thanks for your votes, which are coming in. I will hold it open for just a few more seconds, just another second or two. Okay. So we have, as we can see, the majority Excel, some just straight via email, a few with Trados Business Manager and a few with another business management tool. Thank you very much. And then the last question, is the ability to customize your translation software to suit your needs important to you? Very important, important, somewhat important, slightly important, or really just not important at all? Again, thank you for your votes. Okay, I'll just hold it up just for a couple more seconds. Okay. And so there we go. Very a mix between very important, important, a few with somewhat important, and a few people who really are not bothered in any way. Great, okay. So we're ready to hand over now. Just one last thing. We've got a lot of you watching live, so to manage the session effectively, everyone's camera and microphone has been switched off. There will be plenty of time for Q&A session at the end. All the questions are managed via the chat facility. So please get your questions in the chat and we'll try to cover as many as we can. Okay, so Nicole, I'm just going to hand over the controls to you so you may begin.
Great, thank you.
You should just be doing the rest now.
Yeah. Brilliant, and you should be able to see my presentation slides.
We certainly can, yes, thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. So I'll get started, and thank you everyone for participating in those polls. It's always nice to see just who we're talking to and what resonates with you. So during this session in particular, we're now going to look at Trados Studio 2021 and Trados Business Manager, and we like to say the combination of which is all you need to manage your translation business. So I know Dom kindly introduced Lydia and I just thought I'd say a little bit about what I exactly do. So I'm a product marketing executive at RWS. As part of my role, I work closely with our product development teams, our sales teams, and our field marketing teams, just to ensure everyone knows what our products are, how to market them, and how to sell them. And I have an emphasis on the freelance translator market. So I do spend a lot of time conducting market research and speaking to freelance translators such as yourself to understand exactly what you need and your pain points are. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, following the session, with any follow-up questions, then my email address is on screen. And as Dom said, I'm joined today by my colleague Lydia. So I don't know, Lydia, if you wanted to quickly say anything about yourself before we move on.
Yes, thank you. I formally joined SDL, now RWS, back in 2007. It's pretty much been my sole place of work throughout my entire life. We have held numerous roles ranging from sales through to support and consultancy. And now I'm focusing on all matters related to customer enablement, working for Falcon, who I'm sure some of you may know from based on popularity from other events, or if you regularly engage with the community pages. As part of my new role under Paul, it includes working closely with the App Store development team, where we can see what we can do for ongoing feature requests for solution adoptions. So any thoughts or feedback you have about our solutions and tools, I very much do welcome it, and let's see if we can turn it into a reality for you. And with all of this in mind, I suppose between Nicole and I, all I have to say is that after our years of experience, you're in safe hands throughout our sessions. Thank you.
Brilliant. Yeah, you certainly are. So without further ado then, I'll actually move on to the main bulk of our presentation today. And before we dive into what we're really here to talk about, I just wanted to quickly introduce Trados and the Trados ecosystem and what makes Trados stand out from the crowd. Now, translators that have heard of Trados mostly know us for our computer-assisted translation tool, which of course is our most popular piece of translation software. And in fact, I actually hear quite a lot of people refer to Trados Studio just as Trados. But Trados is actually a suite of products, and these have been built to empower freelance translators to take control of their business, increase their productivity, and grow their revenue. So we have built Trados on decades of translation experience, and we do offer solutions for every level of experience and maturity in the supply chain. So that's whether you're a new translator looking for your first computer-assisted translation or CAT tool, or an experienced translator looking for a tool to enhance your services. So what products do we actually offer then? For freelance translators, we have Trados Studio. And as already mentioned, most of you may have already heard of it, but just in case you haven't, it's our centralized desktop translation environment for editing, reviewing, and managing translation projects and terminology. So really, this is perfect for translators looking to translate faster, far beyond the proverbial 2,000 words per day. And as you probably know by now, a CAT tool enables you to reuse past content to give you the highest quality translation to your clients, increase your consistency, etc. So that's Trados Studio, our most popular tool. To complement Trados Studio, we also have Trados Live Essential. Now, Trados Live Essential is what we're calling our new cloud-based translation and project management environment. And this offers users to actually choose to translate and manage their projects online. It's the cloud companion to Studio 2021. The two are seamlessly integrated, so you can switch between online and offline working with ease. And when you purchase Trados Studio 2021, you actually get access to this new cloud environment. So it is only available with the latest release of our Cat 2 at the moment. Then we also have Trados Business Manager. And this is our business management solution to help you manage administrative tasks associated with translation jobs. And that could be storing data, creating quotes, invoicing, reporting, etc. And this, of course, is what we plan to focus on in a bit more detail shortly, so I will come back to that. Next, we have multi-term. And multi-term is important to help you manage terminology to avoid the #1 reason for reworking your translation projects, which of course you may know is inconsistent terminology. Every Trados Studio user also receives a license of multi-term as well automatically. We also have Persolo. Persolo is designed specifically to meet the demands associated with software localization. It's another, aspect to our portfolio. For freelance translators, we often see that you work with Persolo in conjunction with a client that actually is using our team versions. But yeah, it's software localization just to complete the portfolio. Lastly, on this slide, I just wanted to also highlight that we have something called the RWS App Store. And the App Store is our unique platform for showcasing and sharing applications, which any Trados customer can then download and install. And these are mostly for free. And with these apps, you can customize and extend the functionality of your Trados software to improve your translation processes, to help you operate more efficiently and effectively. So it's really nice to see on that poll just now that customizing your software is really important, because with the RWS App Store, you can personalize our Trados products to suit your needs. There are, of course, other products in the Trados portfolio as well that you may have heard of, such as Trados Live Team and Trados Group Share. Those are our collaboration and project management tools that your clients, so your, any corporate translation teams or LSPs that you're working with, that's what they're using. All Trados products are seamlessly integrated though, so no matter what Trados environment your clients are using, if you have a Trados product, you will be able to connect and work to their systems. So as you can see, we offer much more than a Cat tool, much more than Trados Studio. We have a whole ecosystem of products that you can adapt and adopt, should I say, and embrace as your business needs evolve. Now, I know Trados isn't the only translation software available on the market, and I know as part of CIOL's Technology Week, you've also had the chance to hear about the others out there as well. So I thought I'd spend just a couple minutes covering what makes Trados unique. It's always difficult to pick a Cat tool and to know which one's best for you, so hopefully this may help if you're considering adopting a new tool. So firstly, we have over 35 years of experience working in the translation productivity space. And during that time, we've learned what you need, and we've developed our products to best aid you in your business. Over 275,000 localization professionals now actually use us as well. And that means that Trados has become more of an industry standard. In purchasing Trados, you're joining the largest translation community. And with the majority of industries using the same suite of products, you'll find it really easy to exchange projects with your clients, speed up your translation processes, etc. And what's more, because we have such a vibrant and large community, we have an abundance of help and support always readily available if you ever get stuck or need, want to discover new ways of working. We have content out there that can guide you with the best ways to do that with our products. We have, like I said, lots of resources, free webinars, ebooks and videos of how the product works on our website. We also host events quite often. Twice a year we have our virtual conferences or road shows when we're allowed to be in person, that you may have even attended yourself. Plus, as Lydia mentioned earlier, we have an online community, and you can talk to your peers and RWS staff just to get help or advice, and that's a really great place to go. Plus, we have paid support packages, so you really never have to look far to find the information you need, is ultimately what I'm trying to get across here. Over the years, we've also continually enhanced and developed our products in line with your feedback, and also industry trends. And that's building on the core functionality already available to create the sophisticated language platform that you see as Trados today. As you've seen, Trados is much more than just a cat tool that we're known for. We also offer features and functionality you require to successfully manage your translation business, from translation and project management to business administration and reporting. And I know we've mentioned this already, but all of our products really are integrated. And what this means for you is that you can grow and build your ecosystem by adding new products to your technology stack as your business evolves. So, no need to start off with everything, because as a new translator, you definitely won't need all the functionality available across all of our different products. But you just know that when you do, and if you do ever need more functionality, it's very easy to extend your Trados ecosystem. Another reason to work with Trados is that you now have the opportunity to work wherever you want on any device of your choice. So that's giving you additional flexibility with how you want to work. No longer are you chained to your desktop computer, although I know quite a lot of translators do like their home setup with, their 2 screens and their comfortable chair. But sometimes life just doesn't work that way, and you need to be away from your desk for one reason or another. In recent research, actually, we conducted a study called the TTI Translation Technology Insight Survey, and we asked freelance translators, LSPs, corporations, the works, what type of translation environment they would like. And 75% of translators actually stated they wanted a combination of online and offline working. So we're very excited to say that with Trados Live, we have now delivered on that flexibility. And lastly, because I'm sure this is not what you expected me to start off with today, most definitely unique to Trados, you have the option to customize your translation environment to suit your business needs. We like to say that no 2 translation businesses are ever the same, so why should your cat tools be? And that really resonates with me. Trados offers the language industry's first and only app store, which, as I said, is called the RWS App Store, and it offers hundreds of apps to help you customize your translation environment. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about the App Store in a minute, so I won't say any more on that now. But as we go through the session today, I'm going to touch on each of these points, each of these why Trados points in a little bit more detail. There's going to be a couple of demos just to show you exactly what we're talking about. And hopefully by the end, you'll be able to decide for yourself whether Trados is for you. So next then, here we are, the agenda. So we've covered then what the Trados ecosystem is. And now I'd like to spend the rest of our time today diving into what makes Trados unique. So next, we're going to look at flexible ways of working. As you know, Trados is known, like I said, I keep repeating myself, it's known for our computer-assisted translation tool. However, we're going to look at how you can use Trados Studio and Trados Live, so working in the cloud, to become more efficient. I then plan to share a little more information about the RWS App Store, like I said, and how you can quickly download apps in Trados Studio. But the main bulk of the session today will be on Trados Business Manager and how the solution can help with all your operational tasks required to run a translation business. So then, let's get started by looking at how you can work more efficiently with Trados Studio and Trados Live. So as I mentioned, Trados Live is our translation productivity cloud. With Trados Live, you have the freedom to translate, review, and create projects wherever you choose. And I can't stress that enough, because depending on your preferred ways of working and where you are, you can choose to work from any device of your choice, whether that's a laptop, a mobile phone, or a browser on a Mac PC, for example. Even when you're away from your desk, all your work will be available with you in the cloud for you to view and manage. And that means for you, you can react to your clients straight away, and your customer responsiveness would never have been so good. You'll always appear professional and available. So just to give you a quick few scenarios then of how you can work With Trados Live always at your side, you can create a cloud project from either inside Studio 2021 or from a browser. Really, you can choose which environment you would like to work in. You can also start a project off on your tablet, then pick it up again on your desktop PC. That's another option. You can start translating or reviewing on your desktop in Studio 2021, then finish the job in the online editor on a device of your choice. There are loads of different ways that you can adopt the cloud way of working into your traditional workflow if you needed to. So it's all about flexibility here. And when you move between the two environments, you literally do pick up where you left off with the click of a button. Now, I know we're not the only provider that gives you some form, or should I say, we're not the only CAT tool that gives you some form of flexibility moving between desktop and cloud, but ours is seamless. You literally, with a click of the button, I will show you shortly, you will see the project appears in your desktop, or it's available in the cloud, and you can continue working. It's a major benefit. Trados Live also ensures security for you and your clients. Security is always a hot topic, so yeah, feel free to ask any questions if you have it. But we have loads of obviously security and protocols in place to protect you, your data, and your clients' data. But what's more, it also, Trados Live comes complete with secure cloud storage. And that means you'll never have to worry about backing up your files again, as it will be done automatically in the cloud. And that's another key thing about working in the cloud environment. If you lose your PC, you'll lose your work. If you lose your PC, but you're working in the cloud, then everything is there stored and protected for you. So protecting your information really is paramount. And just one more thing on security, our Trados Live servers are actually located in Germany. And that's not just because they have the strictest regulations in the EU, but because they've got the strictest regulations in the world. So we've picked a good country for security. So at the end of the day, by managing your time and your workload more efficiently, by working with the cloud, you'll be able to turn around projects quickly and improve communication with your clients. And that will give you yet another edge over your competitors, which of course is all important. So I don't have time today to give you a full comprehensive demo of Trados Live, but I'm going to quickly show you now the environment so you can get a feel for yourself just how easy it is to move between the cloud and our desktop product. So I am going to just quickly go to a browser. So what I'm going to show you now, like I said, is the Trados Live environment, and I'm going to call out some of the key functionality as we go. So I'm going to start off by logging into Trados Live. Now you can do this in two ways. You can do this through a browser because, like I said, you can access the cloud from no matter wherever you are. And you can go to live.trados.com and you'll have everything there for you. But I'm going to sign in through Trados Studio today because this is where you're probably more likely to start. So Trados Studio 2021 is what I'm using. This is our welcome screen. Now, I'm not going to go through Trados Studio in much detail now. I know Lydia in her demo shortly is going to touch on some of the key points. But this is your Trados Live, your Trados Studio, welcome screen. And to access the cloud, you simply come here and you can see you've got Language Cloud and STL Trados Live. One thing to note is we are, of course, going through a rebrand. Now STL has been acquired by RWS. So this will shortly be rebranded to just say Trados Live, which is our new product name. So bear with me if you see some odd SDLs lurking around in our products. So I'm just going to click on this link. And what it's taking me to now is back into the browser, and it's going to automatically log me in because I was already logged in to my cloud environment in Trados Studio. If you're not logged in, it will prompt you to log in. It's really quite simple. And you'd log in using your standard Trados credentials. So what you are seeing now is a nice dashboard. This dashboard shows you some key information about your activity in the cloud. You can see how many projects you've got going on. You can see how many tasks that equates to down here. You can also see nice information like your due dates, your progress, and your customer location. And you can see actually I'm being quite a bad translator as I'm only tend to use my environment for demos. All of my projects are overdue. You can see how many projects you've created by month to give you some nice business intelligence here, and how many words you're processing. So this sort of information isn't necessarily easily available in Studio, so this is a bit more reporting than what you will get in our desktop tool. So that is really your welcome screen, for want of a better word. And what we've got up here in the ribbon is some more tabs. So starting from the right, we will work our way back across. Terminology. Now, the terminology tab here actually offers the same functionality as to what you'll get within your resources tab. So I'm not going to go into detail now. And I know I appreciate it's probably a little odd to feature this here alone if it's also here under resources. The main reason it's there is because we also sell terminology as a standalone offering. So users that just have our terminology package will just see the terminology tab up here. So that's why it's got to be featured in the ribbon. So glossing over this, we're going to quickly click into our customers. So one of the nice things about working in the cloud is you have the option to define who your customers are that you're going to be working with. Now, customers can be different things to different people, but really this is your filing system within the cloud. So for freelancers, I imagine your customers will probably be the names of your actual clients. And you can see you can have as many different clients listed in here as you like, and there's no limit. Everything you do in the cloud environment can be assigned to a customer to help keep you organized. Now, it doesn't have to be assigned to a customer, but that is the recommended process. And that means your resources, your projects, and anything you put in the cloud it's clear who it's for, and it means you don't use the wrong customer's translation memory for a project, for example. Yeah, to create a new customer, there is a nice green button in the top right hand side, that's the word I'm looking for, of the screen, and you fill in a couple of pieces of information and you have your nice customer. So that's your customers. Next tab along are your resources. Now, this is where you'd come to set up any translation memories, any term bases, any project templates you want to work with. If you're already working with Trados Studio, you'll be familiar with these concepts. Hopefully, if you've seen some of the other presentations that have been going this week, you'll understand sort of what those are for, what the resources are for. They're exactly the same in Trados Studio in our desktop product. So you've got the same translation memories, term bases, and project templates there as well. What's different about working in the cloud, and one of the reasons I'm going to highlight it is because I think this is a real benefit of our new cloud project, is how often do you find yourself working with the same translation memories, the same term bases, and possibly even the same machine translation providers? And if the answer to that is a lot, then translation engines will certainly pique your interest. So the idea of a translation engine is it groups together all of the resources that you frequently use into one group almost. And then when it comes to creating a project, rather than selecting all of these resources individually every time you want to use them, you simply select the translation engine that you want to use. And this really speeds up your process, like I said, particularly if you're using the same resources over and over again. And when it comes to adding a translation engine, when you're setting up your project, you can also edit these at the same time. So if you want to add or remove anything to the translation engines, when it comes to setting up your project, that's not the end of the world. It's quite easy to amend what's in here. So yeah, really that is really what a translation engine is. It's quite a nice concept. And like I said, if you're familiar with Studio, this won't be too different for you at all. It's quite nice and clear how to set everything up. Anytime you want to create something new, you can see you've got this new button always in the right-hand corner. That moves us on to the projects view. So as you'd expect, this is where you will see and set up your projects. There are live filters that you can use to filter down projects that you want to use, and they're here on the right-hand side. So that's really all nice and clear, easy for you to find what you'd like. And setting up a project in the cloud is very similar to setting up one in Studio. So I'm just going to quickly set one up now for you. So to start off with, you'd give your project a name. So I'm just going to call this Nicole July Demo, like so. It will automatically give you a week's due date, so you need to amend this to reflect what you're working towards. You need to pick a customer that this is for. So I'm just going to pick a random customer for today. I could give it a description so that, enter a meaningful description so you know exactly what it's about. Now you could select a project template, and again, if you're used to working with Studio, you'll understand the power of a project template. A project template groups together your translation engines that you would like to use and any project settings that you always want to use. So your customers may have particular resources and ways of working that you need to adhere to. So setting it up in a template is really easy. And what that means is once you add your template, it automatically detects your source and target language. So you don't have to fill that in every time. It automatically identifies your file type settings. So how do you want your file to be opened for translation? What content should be included? And then all you have to do from this view is to add a file. So I've just got a nice little demo file here that I like to use. I'm just going to drag and drop. You can see it's loaded nicely. And now I've got the option to create and start. So I could just create my project in one step, but I want to quickly show you that it's definitely added my translation engine that I showed you a second ago. So this has added my translation memory, my machine translation provider that I would like to work with, and my term base. It will have also changed any of my settings that I had specified in my project template. So, what verification settings do I want to use, translation memory settings, etc. So really nice and quick. You then click create and start. And now what's happening is your project is being created in the cloud. If you're used to working in Trados Studio, you'll know that whilst your project is being set up, you are stuck. You just need to wait there for your project to complete, for your project to finish pre-processing. In the cloud, what's nice is it's all done in the cloud and you can continue working. So if you set up a cloud project whilst working in Trados Studio, you know you can continue working in Trados Studio whilst your cloud project is processing. So that is how you set up a project in Trados Studio. If we see at the top here now, that's my new project that I have created. If I quickly click into it, you can see lots of nice information about the project itself. You can add some notes to your project. You can see what settings I use to set up the project. You can see what tasks have been done. So what have I done to my project so far? So you'll see all the basic setup tasks like converting the file into a translatable format, copying source to target, all of that sort of information. You'll see that here. Once you have finished translating and your file is ready to be exported and sent to your customer, you can come here to download your target file. You can view your reports. So this will show you what leverage you can get from your translation engine. So what translation memory matches and things like that can I get, and it gives you an idea of how much work there is involved in the project. You can also come here and just triple check at what stage you're at. So my document has now finished pre-processing and it's ready for me to translate, which is really nice. So I can get working on that now. And also the dashboard just gives you a really quick snapshot summary of how much work has been done. And because my translation engine was so good, I only have 75% left of my project to actually do myself, which is always handy. So that is your project view. That's how you set up a project. The next thing you want to do is to obviously start translating the file. And you can go to you can open the file from this view. You can go to stages and select the file and open in the online editor. But before we do that, I just want to introduce the concept of your inbox, which is the final tab here. In your inbox view, this is where you can see all of your tasks. It's essentially your to-do list, and it shows you the translations that you need to work on. So if, for example, you have a project with 3 translatable files in, you would receive 3 tasks here. My project I just set up only had 1 translatable file in, so I've only got 1 task available here for me to start working on. You'll see that there are tabs here that you can use to view any new projects, any new tasks that you've not started working on, any active tasks that you've started but not completed, and then your nice long list of completed tasks once you have finished. So that is the, oh, there we go, it's now loaded for me. I'm at the mercy of my home internet connection. So that's where you can see all of your nice completed tasks for you. So what I'm going to do now is start translating the file. So we could start translating this file in Trados Studio. And if we quickly go back to Trados Studio and we go to our projects view, you will see when the instance, it normally automatically refreshes, otherwise you can just nudge it. And you can see there, Nicole's July demo has pulled through into Trados Studio. What you can do now is double click it, open it up and start working in Trados Studio, just as you would a normal file-based project. You can tell it's a cloud project because it's got the nice cloud icon. It also says it very clearly here, which is a very obvious way of checking. And you can see all of the normal information, your due date, when you created it, etc. So I could continue working here, but I want to show you what the online editor looks like. So for now, I'm just going to go back into the cloud. And Lydia's going to show you, like I said at the beginning, a little bit more about how you'd, some of the settings in our desktop translation editor. So for now, I'm going to go back to new, because this is where my new project is. I'm going to click on the file, and I'm going to open in the online editor. Now, just whilst that's loading, I want to say one more thing about working in Trados Studio with a cloud project. Did you notice there, as soon as I created that project, it was instantly available in Studio for me? And that just goes to show how seamless the integration between the cloud and the desktop really is. It's really easy to stop working in one environment and move to another. There's no, saving or exporting a file from the cloud and then opening it up in a desktop environment. It's automatically there available for you. So it's such a seamless transition. Okay, so the online editor here anyway is very similar in a way to the editor that you have in Trados Studio, in as far as it has a lot of the productivity tools you're used to working with. Down the right hand side here, I have my little webinar bar in my way here, but down the right hand side here, you can see that there are a few different settings. So just to quickly run through them, if you're working with verification, then you'd get those messages here. Any revisions you want to make to your document, if you're working with track changes, or if you've had a reviewer look at a document, you can see those here. Filters to help you filter down the segments that you want to view and work on. You have translation lookups. So this is where any machine translation results, any translation memory matches, or even any machine translation, terminology results, they would all appear here. So essentially, what leverage are you getting from your translation resources? Really nice and easy to see. You can add comments as you would expect, and you can search. So those are sort of your right-hand side tools available for you. And as you can see, everything is very nicely, clearly split up into the segments as you would expect a CAT tool to do for you. You can clearly see what type of match you're receiving from your translation resources, and you can get some nice document structure here. One more thing I want to quickly show you just before we move on is a lot of people who are used to working with Trados Studio really liked an old feature that we've now removed from our desktop product, which was to change the way you view your translation results. Sorry, your segments, should I say. So rather than seeing them side by side, you can now stack them and see them on top of each other, which I know is really popular. So that is really the Trados Live cloud environment. As you can see, it's clean, it's easy to navigate, and as soon as you've set up your cloud settings and resources online in the browser, you don't ever have to come back to this cloud environment in the browser again if you don't want to. You can just work with cloud projects and resources in Trados Studio if you prefer your desktop environment. So that was Trados Live. I'm going to quickly go back to my presentation and go into full screen. So if you are looking for some more information on how to use that environment, if you want to clearly see how easy it is to get started with it, then we do have another webinar that goes into a lot more detail. We do it every month, the same webinar, and the next one's on July the 27th if you're interested, and you can register for that at trados.com/events/webinars. So just a good thing to note. So we're now on to the App Store that I mentioned earlier, the RWS App Store. So you on the App Store can find apps that enable you to customize and extend the functionality of Trados Studio, Multi-Term, and Persolo. So to give you some facts about the App Store really quickly, I know I'm taking more time than I thought I would, I'm rambling. It was launched in 2013, and since then the App Store has been continuously growing. We currently have 308 apps on the App Store designed for Trados Studio alone, and there are over 350 apps on the App Store in total, and more really are being added every month. And these apps have now been downloaded over 500,000 times by 40,000 users worldwide, and what's more, over 80% are free. RWS actually have an internal team of App Store developers dedicated to creating many of the apps available on the App Store. However, around 70% are actually made by third-party developers, so translators, LSPs or corporations, that want to develop their own apps, and then they share them with us and publish them for others to use. So on the App Store, there are apps that can help you to handle different file types that aren't automatically available for you to work with in Trados Studio out the box. You've got apps to help you measure your productivity. You can use apps to access and manage different machine translation providers. You can connect to free translation memories, term bases, and more. There really is a wide variety of different apps that help you to do a wide variety of different things. So these apps that you can see on screen really just are a tip of the iceberg. Now, anyone with a Trados Studio anyone with a Trados Studio license in general, no matter what version it is, 2015, 2017, 2019, you can head to the RWS App Store and download apps in a browser. And you can do, the manual download process. However, if you're a Trados Studio 2021 user, all compatible apps are now available for you to download from within the Studio interface directly. And that's through something called our new App Store integration. And this means personalizing your cat tool is so much easier because you can access approximately 200 apps that are available for Trados Studio 2021 directly through your Trados Studio environment. So you can now search the App Store and discover new apps, install, delete apps at the click of a button, and manage any app updates through Studio without having to go to the browser. So the app saves users an incredible amount of time, and it really does provide you a nicer way to manage your downloaded apps. So on that note, I just want to quickly show you what our integration looks like. So if I go back to my welcome screen, there are a couple of ways that you can access the App Store. Firstly, you need to make sure you are signed in to your Trados account, which you can see I clearly am. And then you can either access the the RWS App Store from here in the welcome view, or if you're in another place within Trados Studio, you can always come up here to the add-ins tab and then select the App Store here. This opens an integration, and it's a really nice window here that enables you to view any plugins that you've got installed, delete them. You can also see, using this icon here, how many updates that you have available, and the app will have an update symbol next to it, which you can very quickly use to click an update. If you go to this next tab here, the App Store, this is actually showing you all of the apps that there are available on the App Store for Trados Studio 2021. So these are just the apps available for the version of Studio you are using. You've got a nice description down the right-hand side just to let you know exactly what the app does. You can very quickly click to download, like I am, and you can click as many as you like and install them, and they just queue. And once they're installed, it very clearly comes up with an action here telling you to restart Studio to finish installing the plugins, as you normally have to do with software. You've got ways to filter by different categories, and you can also search for free or paid apps. And the majority, by the way, are free on here. So that's really good to know. So anyway, that is the integration in a nutshell. It's very easy to do. Once you restart, all of those apps that you've just installed will appear here. Oh, actually, look, they're already appearing here now, but they won't come into effect until I restart my studio device, my studio desktop. So that is the App Store integration, a really nice way for you to customize your environment. And as we've just discussed today, being able to customize is very important to you. And this, enables you to tailor, exactly what your desktop software can do for you. So if I move back into my presentation, I'm just going to go back into full screen. And the last thing I want to quickly say on this is if you search for the RWS apps, if you search the RWS App Store and there isn't an existing app that solves your problem, don't despair, because Lydia mentioned at the beginning, we're always looking for new ideas for things to work on, and that includes new apps. So post your requirements on the RWS Ideas community, and if there's enough interest on that idea, we'll certainly look into it. So the other thing, alternatively, if you have some developer skills yourself, you can access Trados APIs to develop your own plugins. You could even nudge your clients and explain that there are more efficient ways of working with Trados by developing their own app. And if this is something that interests you, then there are a couple of things we recommend you do. Firstly, get involved with the RWS developer community for just to discuss your idea and speak to your peers and brainstorm what you could do. You can also access sample codes for inspiration, which is obviously massively helpful because it means you won't have to start from scratch. And you can also visit the software development kit page on the App Store for more information on each API available and what you can do with it. And if you're interested to look at any of the links to those resources I just mentioned, then I recommend you head to the Trados blog and read an article that I wrote recently called Personalize Your Translation Software. It's easier than you think, because all those steps, all those links to those pages on the previous page are available in that blog. So yeah, that is Trados Business Manager. No, that is the RWS App Store. And now I guess finally onto the main event today, Trados Business Manager. So I've mentioned a couple of times now, the whole Trados portfolio is seamlessly integrated and it's easy to build your Trados ecosystem as your business needs evolve. Most of our translators start off with Trados Studio for translation and project management, and then realize very quickly they need more software to help them manage their business. Other business tasks such as keeping track of jobs, managing client details, different client rates, creating and sending quotes and invoices. All of these things are really vital operational tasks in running a translation business, but they take time away from what matters most, and that's translating. So finding a tool that can help alleviate some of this administrative burden and help save you time is essential. And for freelancers who are translators, marketers, accountants, relationship builders, and possibly even, doing your own legal contracts and things all at once, it's even more important you find the time savings where you can. And that's where Trados Business Manager really can come in and help. So what is Trados Business Manager? Simply put, Trados Business Manager is a translation business management solution that can simplify and speed up day-to-day tasks that go into running a translation business. Without a dedicated solution like Trados Business Manager, there would be manual processes such as cutting and pasting, using a calculator, possibly multiple spreadsheets, as quite a lot of you said today, you're using Excel. And you may find your data is held in different systems and in different places, and that's really not helpful. A lot of time will be spent, cross-checking and collating, and that's just not what you need. So this way of working takes more time. You're also more prone to errors, and it's also hard to keep track of what's been done and when. Trados Business Manager, though, simplifies the processes of creating and managing quotes and invoices, What's more, as we were talking about customization earlier, quote templates are customizable per customer and can be localized, which is really nice. You can use Trados Business Manager to manage information about clients. So that could be storing any information such as logos, photos, price lists, payment terms, what language pairs you're working with, contact details, etc. You can measure and report on a wide variety of business metrics as well to help you to stay in touch with your business performance. And there's also a project management element of Trados Business Manager to help you organize projects and jobs, keep track of deadlines and payments. So Business Manager is suitable for anyone from an individual freelance translator to a large team because it's a scalable solution. Freelancers may only be looking for a simple quoting, invoicing and reporting solution to ease the administrative load and to start to get insight into your work. So I imagine that resonates with you. On the other hand, though, LSPs and corporate translation departments will be looking at vendor management, outsourcing capabilities, and will need more in-depth reporting. We have different versions of Business Manager to accommodate the different needs of you, the individual translator, and teams, which is great news for you because the solution we have available will be appropriately tailored to your needs. So Trados Business Manager Essential is the solution that has been designed for you, the individual translator. It helps you to manage client invoicing, quoting, and reporting. It's a desktop application which uses accurate translation data from your translation projects, and that's in real time, to base your quotes and invoices on. So they'll be as accurate as possible at the time of creating them. Trados Live Team and Enterprise editions of Trados Business Manager are perfect for the teams of any size. They're on the web and they have more integrations with our project management solutions, and they enable more people to access the solution at once. They also have additional client portals and vendor portals and APIs and things like that. So they're a lot bigger solutions, better suited for our teams and organizations. If you do want to look at more what the differences are between these versions, then you can find a comparison table on our website. And I did think it was worth sharing with you what the different offerings are, because when you go to the website, you will see all of these additions spoken about. And I wanted to just make it quickly clear, Essential has been created specifically for your pain points, to help you with your pain points and to really ease your business load. So one more thing before I hand over to Lydia is I am a broken record, and Trados Business Manager is fully integrated with RWS technology. And that's other technology such as Trados Studio, our CAT tool, Trados Group Share, which is a collaboration tool that your clients, LSPs or translation departments that you're working with might be using, and Trados Live, which is our cloud environment. Plus, you can import analysis quotes from other CAT tools to form the basis of your quotes. So if you aren't using Trados Studio, you're possibly using another CAT tool, or if you were sent an analysis report from someone who's not using Trados Studio, you can still import that into Trados Business Manager and manage your business administration in the same way. For you, this means no matter how you receive your projects, you can use the same Trados environment. Okay then, so you probably heard enough of me droning on and enough of my voice. So now I'm going to hand over to Lydia, and she's going to demonstrate exactly how Trados Business Manager can work for you. So Lydia, over to you.
Thank you. And I'm just waiting for the ability to share the right screen.
Should be coming through now, Lydia. Perfect.
Great. Thank you, Nicole. And as described so comprehensively, Trados Studio is not just a CAT tool, but an ecosystem, meaning a platform that can hold tight integrations, and Trados Live being one of them. We saw this via her projects view that automatically synchronized and reflected her project creation. But the same would be true for ongoing linguistic tasks such as the translations and the revisions and so forth. Included in our ecosystem is Trados Business Manager, which is what I aim to kind of show you today, which is a business critical solution that goes far beyond just the CAT tool. In addition to the ecosystem is the App Store, where we can find additional productivity features that would facilitate your daily activities. And therefore, it actually makes sense that I spend the majority of my time here in the client application of Trados Studio, as this is a very rich, feature-rich environment. But before I start, I'd like to actually make a disclaimer. Only a few hours ago, I realized that I had, by mistake, prepped for today's session using an older version of Trados Business Manager. We can see this here on my bottom left here. I've got Business Manager Lite, with not enough time to correct any mistakes. Reality is, though, that with just with over half of you still using 2019, based on the poll, my unfortunate error means that my preparation is really going to is a bad thing due to the backward compatibility. What I'm trying to say very poorly in summary is that regardless of the version I'm using, what you have seen, my sessions will be enough to establish the basic foundational concepts of Business Manager, showcase several features, and walking through various workflow options. It doesn't change regardless of the version that you're using. And if you were keen to see Business Manager Essential version 6, which is our latest one, don't be at the end. I will show you the user interface, but not actually use it as part of a walkthrough, which is the detailed presentation. So with that out the way, I also see from today's polls that a third of you are still using a version of a CAT tool or have very little experience with a CAT tool. So I will spend some time explaining some of the basics of a CAT tool and its fundamentals as we go along with the Trados Business Manager. So with all of this in mind, here we go in projects view. Regardless of where you create your projects or if you allocated a project, this is what we see. Some of our projects indeed could be coming from Trados Live. We can see these ones here marked in blue. I can also filter for these and change it to our kind of standard projects. And this really is a comprehensive view that is going to allow you to assess basic information about the actual projects. If I come here to this one here, project details, I can see that I want to actually localize 2 projects. I can see who my customer is, as well as the statistics around the actual project. By coming here, I'm going to double click on the projects view. It then takes me to the files view, and I see that these are the 2 files that I would have expected I now need to work with. One of the first productivity features I'd like to highlight to you is the ability to select both files and to perform a virtual merge. This is a really great hidden feature of Trados Studio so far as productivity is concerned, because it's going to allow us to better support any cross-file repetition or consistency that might exist, so that we're delivering good quality translations regardless of where that text came from within the 2 files. By clicking on the files, I'm now taken to the editor view. Here within the editor view, we can see that some of my content has been localized, some of my content has not been localized. I can see here I have some integrated databases that I need to work with, and I'm going to highlight some of the productivity features that one can expect when working in this type of environment. The first one here is the display filter, where I actually wish to try prioritize my efforts moving forward by singling out all text that has not yet been localized. So if I go ahead and select all text not yet translated and apply my filter, I am going to get a unique view of my content. In order to help with this particular process of localizing the content, I am going to go to project settings. and see what other resources I can tap into in order to facilitate this as quickly as possible. One of which is perhaps using machine translation. DeepL was one of the questions that we had already gathered from a previous session this week, if DeepL can be supported within Trados Studio, and the answer would be yes. We can see that the plugin is available via the App Store, and if you wish to use DeepL as a machine translation source, you may do so. Otherwise, SDL or RWS has machine translation integrated by default using neural machine translation, good quality machine translation output, and I can enable as many resources as I need to facilitate my translations moving forward. We can see segments 12, 13, 3, and 5. These ones are somewhat repetitive or duplicated, so I'm going to use machine translation to assist. We can see that if I were to take segment 12, the minute I confirm my segment, I expect segment 3, which is a replication or duplication, to automatically reflect that. And this is the example of cross-file repetition, and why no matter how many files you've got in a project, it's great to do a virtual merge so that we've got this consistency in place. I do not have the time to go through how to translate line by line for the remaining parts of the session and for the rest of the content. Instead, to speed this process up, I'm going to go to batch tasks, perform a pre-translate. Specify that I would like to apply machine translation where possible. And we can see now that the entire document actually has been localized. So to summarize this, I've used the display filter, batch tasks, machine translation. I've spoken a bit about DeepL and a lot of other features that's going to facilitate our efforts during localization. But while we are spending our time adhering to localization tasks, we want to make sure that we are being paid for the efforts that we are making. And this comes through a variety of different avenues. Either you could be looking at your analysis reports to see how much content required translation versus how much content, if I bring up this analysis report, this one here, some of our text here, there were 63 words that hadn't yet been localized, and I used machine translation to assist with those. I have a number of fuzzy matches as well, so you might be paid different rates depending on yes, what this fuzzy bands are kind of negotiated at. But if I were to come back to the editor view, there is already now a feature of Business Manager that could also be of interest to you. If we come to our add-ins, our view, sorry, here, Business Manager Time Tracker. As I spent my time in the editor view, doing this, that, and the other, researching terms, going through QA and any other localization task, I could be having terms and conditions in place where I am actually being paid per hour, and what would that rate be. So as I jump between my projects and I spend my time in the editor view, Business Manager, which is managing obviously the financial benefits to yourself taking on a task, could be calculated on a time basis, and Time Tracker is going to facilitate this process. So I'm going to leave this ticking in the background while I talk through a couple other kind of productivity features for those of you who are interested. If I were to come to segment 6 as an example, or 5, I think it was even here, I see a red overline indicating recognized terminology. Apart from having machine translation and integrated translation memories, I also have my terminology, and it has been fed through the term recognition window here. It may be, however, that you are receiving terminology through Excel spreadsheets. Very often these would be kind of very project specific, and whilst it might not necessarily be ideal, the reality is working with Excel spreadsheets does prove very popular with managing terminology. So there is an additional plugin that might be of interest to you. It's called the Term Accelerator. If I just launch it up here for you, where you can specify your columns for your text and your terms. If I go ahead and browse and pick up an actual example of a term base, here I can reference terminology directly from an Excel spreadsheet, and this too can help drive ongoing term consistency and accuracy throughout my file, over and beyond cross-file repetitions and other duplicate text that might be appearing throughout the text in your content. Part of Trados Studio is also the integrated terminology. These kind of happen on the fly, ideally. So if I were to make a rudimentary mistake by removing a period mark here, and if I were to try and confirm the segment, I'm going to be led by different severity errors. That's really a bit hard to ignore until I address them there and then. And if I hover my mouse over this particular example, it's quite clearly telling me here that the punctuation or the space marks just aren't quite the same. And thank goodness we have technology driving this quality, because if I were to count all of these dots myself and manage it manually, it would be difficult to do so. So lovely, the technology is guiding me. I can kind of move on and pass some kind of quality standard for that particular segment. So there's a lot of integrated quality assurances guiding you through the process. And whilst I'm showing you just a few features, I'm always going to now bring your attention back to the Business Manager Time Tracker, which is managing my time spent in the editor view, and I want to be paid accordingly. So this is great, as continually being ticked in the background. The last thing to perhaps bring your attention to, so we can move on to other features of Business Manager in conclusion, is once you have your file localized, we can see here some of our text is in green and black font, not necessarily true in the target side, but segment 6 here, we've got some red font that's been carried across. I could spend my time fixing these formatting differences, but instead I'm going to go to the live preview and just show you that what's also very nice is the ability to actually see your text and your localization in context, including the formatting. So my cursor currently is on segment 6, where I've got the red text available, and we can see that displayed here. And this is also going to maybe just help drive overall quality and choice of words, as you're able to actually see the text in a more kind of natural state. If I were to come to segment 1 and just fix or address some of the differences in formatting, if I were to go ahead and apply the green text by highlighting the text and pressing Control comma as my shortcut key to apply the green and the bold. And if I were to come back to the live preview, once it kind of refreshes itself, we can see that the green and the black has been applied. If I were to come to a different segment just to help highlight that for you even better, you can see how reactive all of this is. And this is great for your, as I say, quality before delivering the text back to your client. But I do want to move on to less about the kind of the basic fundamentals of Trados Studio, but more focusing back on the business manager element of things, especially now that we've got just under 10 minutes of the time tracker ticking through here. So let's put a hypothetical scenario in place where you've kind of got the file more or less in a good state. What you would like to do now is deliver the file to your client, not necessarily as the final version, but just as an opportunity to give early feedback. Normally, best practices would be to do a batch task and finalize, which really you're saying your project is complete, but quite clearly there's still a little bit of work to be done with the formatting and addressing these segments that aren't yet kind of perfected. So what I am going to do is do a file and save target as, so I can issue out a, for example, a first draft. And this is going to generate the German version of this particular file. Apart from giving back the target document for an early feedback, what I also would like to do is give an invoice for my time spent so far. So I'm going to come out of the editor view and finally talk a little bit more about Business Manager. So let me close this and come to Business Manager Lite. Coming to the projects view here, we can see that all of the projects that I have listed within Studio, if I were to expand all of them here, project type, show all projects, I have several of them, one of which is the Trados Business Manager one here at the bottom. Coming to Business Manager Lite, we see pretty much the exact same list. Some of our projects have already got quotes associated to them, such as the one I've highlighted here, as well as an invoice. Some of them have purchase order numbers allocated to them, very clear outlined who the customer was, what was the volume that I was working with. Some projects, like the one highlighted in blue and the one at the top, already has some time allocated to it, 8 minutes and 14 minutes. Not all of my projects are led by time, because I'd rather be charging based on different variables, and that's absolutely fine. Business Manager is very flexible as to how you want to actually quantify your quotes and your invoices. What I'm going to do is go to the very first project here that we were working on, the Business Manager one, double click on it and just reconfirm that this customer is base, and the contact for this particular customer was Lara, and also perhaps confirm the area of specialization here, for example, was other engineering. So some basic parameters already put in place. We can save and close. While I am associating my customer and my client to this particular project, let me also just talk then a little bit about the type of information that Business Manager can help manage for you when you're linking your customers and your clients and your payments between the two solutions of Business Manager and Trados Studio. Here, if we come to customers, here is my base customer that I had selected. If we click edit, we can get a quick overview on the type of information that it can store for you. Obviously, what is the default currencies that you would like to work with when liaising with your customer called base. You can have different templates for invoicing and quoting. This is very flexible and can be customized. And the address for the particular customer. So if you ever do need to send them an email or phone them or get their details, you don't have to always rely on Google, but you can manage it directly from within Business Manager. Then also, who are the contacts? Likelihood is that you'll be liaising with more than one individual. You could be liaising somebody who actually gives you the work, but then the person who you want to speak to for payment could be somebody else. So you can manage who the actual contacts are directly from within Business Manager. And then the pricing. Here we can see a table of different variables that can go towards cost allocations. It could be based on if something is 100% match leverage from your translation memories, I will be charging slightly less compared to, for example, a much lower percentage, or a no match could be costed at a higher price value. Of course, it won't always necessarily be based on words. It's possible that we can also charge on the number of characters, or if you want a slightly different approach, you could also be pricing things based on hours. So again, very flexible as to how you want to start indicating what your rates are for different types of work involved. Here we've got translation, proofreading. I'm choosing to charge on a per hour basis, but of course, if we need to make any alterations or if we need to adapt anything here, we can include a different service type. So for example, here I've got just overall project management, where I can say, yes, well, I still want to charge in pounds, and I would like to charge it as a flat rate, and my rate for overall project management will be something like £50, and I can update that to the table. And this is very specific to my customer here called base. So once you have defined some basic parameters and the type of information that Business Manager can help manage for you, it does really facilitate your ongoing linguistic efforts now when it comes to wanting to do things like invoicing and quoting. So if you remember, my scenario here is that I've just gone through a very first draft of translation. I'm waiting for early feedback, but I'm going to start already indicating what my invoice would look like. So I've got my project here called Trados Business Manager. I'm going to now create an invoice. I want to create an invoice not only based on the analysis, but also the time tracker. If you remember, I spent roughly 8 minutes in the editor view before coming here. So I would like a combination of both towards the invoice costings. Click OK. And here we get to see the table that was predefined against my client. Of course, if I need to make any changes, if I need to edit a particular value or delete a particular row that wasn't deemed relevant, I can do so. If I have any additional expenses that I would like to include, perhaps I traveled one day when we are allowed, or perhaps I've had to buy some training material or something like that, I can add any expenses to the overall quote. And as I already mentioned, part of Business Manager is the ability to customize what your invoices and quotes would actually look like in practice. So if I were to print an invoice, just so that you can see what it looks like. It's gathering all the information. This is taking a bit longer than what I'm expecting. I am hearing my machine working overdrive here. Oh, there we go. I was just going to say I'll abort this in a moment, but it's busy creating the invoice. This is myself here. I've got a little bit of a photo up in my office with my information, invoice, and then a breakdown on what the costings actually look like. Absolutely everything about this template, everything about the look, the feel can be customized. This is purely just but an example, and any customization around this official documentation is once again managed through Trados Business Manager. It's at this point I can export this invoice as a PDF. And this then can be traveled alongside my draft translations to the client so that they have a heads up on where we are at for the overall kind of agreed terms when I took on this particular localization task. If I do a save and close and come back to my projects view, we can see here that this particular project that I was working on as an early example now actually has an invoice associated to it, not a quote, but just an invoice. This then also allows for me to show you the invoices views here, because yes, some invoices I might have been very busy, but I've only been partially paid for some of them or fully paid for others. So this is a great way for you to track any money that's coming in or that's outstanding that might require payment reminders, which is another element that Business Manager can help facilitate if there are payment reminders that need to be sent. Now, as we're touching on a sensitive topic of finances, what I do think is pretty nice is these charts over here, because that's going to allow us to maybe understand and predict where we will be, you know, in a couple months' time with a variety of personal choices that you might be making. So here we can see the number of ongoing projects. We can see the areas that you're specializing in, and you might feel that, you know, based on specialization, you might need to renegotiate some of your rates because you're spending more time in certain sectors than others. And this is where Time Tracker is also very nice. It's a great way for you to assess if, you know, a certain industry is proving more problematic than others, based on time tracker, you might need to push up your rates or kind of renegotiate. Volumes by customer, this is a great way for you to also maybe decide which customers you want to prioritize when accepting work, as well as maybe the volumes by language. Here we've got our ongoing projects, our unpaid invoices, and if we were to go to project aggregates here, we can also see which projects were lucrative or not. Again, a lot of insight that's gone into Business Manager and the reporting, all very centralized. That is not only going to help you keep on top of your financial decisions, but also the prioritizations for incoming requests. So in summary, invoices generated by or through Business Manager against the projects that you work with can be a great way to ensure that as one job ends or as you reach one milestone in your project lifecycle, any of the administrative tasks are kept minimal, but yet very clear to assess and for you to review on your own, thanks to things like the dashboard and clear statuses with regards to the kind of finances around these tasks that you're taking on board. However, the function of Business Manager can go far beyond just managing invoices against your paid efforts. There's also an element of creating quotations. Using a quote or being able to create a quote regardless if how the request has been sent to you. So here's an example. Somebody may have sent you just a source file via email and they're wanting to get an early feel for what it would the charge be for you to carry out those tasks. You don't necessarily want to create a project in Studio just yet. So what we can do is take the Trados Analyze, which is an app that came from the STL App Store. I have my file already prepared here that I would like to work with. So I'm going to take this particular file here. Again, this source file could have come from a platform, from a Dropbox. Somebody's emailed it to me. They just want to get an early quote or an idea on what it would take to service that particular client. And I can specify the translation memory, which I've got here. This is where I'll be getting my leverage from, if any at all. And through a simple drag and drop, without necessarily creating a project in Studio, I'm going to get a breakdown on the leverage and the amount of work required to actually fully localize the content or the file. I see here that I have 3 sentences that are 100% localized, and yes, I have 26 where there is no matches found with a couple of fuzzies in between. So what I'm now going to do is generate an XML, call it new quote. Oh, where am I? I'm here. Okay. My report has been generated, and now I'm able to go back to Business Manager, where what I would like to do now is create a quote. So coming to the quotes view, I can see here I already have several quotes. Some have already been prepared, some have been sent, some of the quotes have been accepted. Some of these quotes, if we come back to the projects view, are already linked to existing projects, which is pretty great. But I'm going to create a new quote from scratch, as I do not yet even have the project created either through Studio or Trados Live, as Nicole had shown. This is really just early days for everyone. In my hypothetical scenario. So here I'm going to create a new quote, show you what that process entails. Apart from the customer, once again, I'm going to select my customer base. And I can either link it to an existing project that might already exist, which is not my current scenario. I'm going to import it from a CAT tool. Nicole did mention that Business Manager is not only tightly linked with Studio, but it is possible to support analyses from other CAT tools. So as long as you have the XML file, we can take our analysis that we got from the app, specify the source language that we want to work with, click OK. And here we get a table of the text that needed to be localized. It's not just translation though that I would want to be charged, that I would be charging for. I want to add other services. So I really do want to customize this quote. I'm going to do that by clicking add. Double click this line and change it from translation to overall project management, where again I want to charge a flat rate of £50, and I expect, you know, I don't know, 2 hours for file type management, and ongoing, should I say, customer support that all falls part of project management. I want to update my quote to reflect that, and in addition, I'm going to also add another type of service. If these lists of services aren't comprehensive for you, you can always add an additional one. But I've also agreed from the request, or I understand from the request, I also need to worry about DTPing, so really delivering a final polished version of the file. And again, I'm going to do that on a per page rate. So maybe I do page on a per page basis, a factor of 1. Click OK for that. And my price for DTPing is, I don't know, £25 a page. And hypothetically, there are 5 pages. So I'm going to update that as well. So here I can see what my quote would kind of look like. And if I want to see the quote, I can call out a print command so you can see what it looks like, and much like an invoice, we get to email that through to the client requesting the actual project. Again, everything about the quote, the look, the feel, the type of information, all of this can be customized directly within Trados Business Manager, but indeed it's very comprehensive, regardless if you're going to use it purely just to manage your invoices being paid and sent out, or indeed if you want to take it a step further and include quotations before you actually start work. Clearly Business Manager has enough feature support around that, as I hope I'm demonstrating very clearly for yourselves. Just to take things kind of full circle, and to kind of go back to the beginning again, on the basis that somebody accepts the quote, they like the quote, then clearly we'll just change the quote status to from prepared to they've accepted it. I don't yet have a project in place for this one. As I said, it was just early stages. So my choices are, I can either create a project through Trados Live, which is what Nicole showed you, because I want to have this hybrid way of working. I want to always have access to my projects. Or as an alternative, if we come back to the welcome view, I can simply drag and drop the file that I've used for my quote generation, do a drag or drop. I can still create a project through the cloud if I wanted, directly through the client application of Studio. And this again is in parallel with what Nicole showed you in the beginning. Or I can choose just to simply translate a single document. So for anybody who was wondering how do you create projects directly within Studio, this is all but just one of the options available to you. So I can click OK, specify my languages, make sure I have my resources in place, including any machine translation providers, if that indeed is important to you. Click OK, and we come back around to the editor view, where the Business Manager time tracker is ready to start reacting if you are choosing to charge not only from the analysis and the breakdown, but also from the time aspect of things. So in conclusion, regardless of where your project was created, either through Trados Live Cloud, as Nicole showed you, or if it was already prepared, which is where I started off my session with you, I already had a project, somebody has allocated me and I've just been given a project I need to pick up an invoice against, or if you choose to create a project from scratch. All of these scenarios and situations, I hope I've shown enough to show that Business Manager can be intercepted and used at any stage. So many different workflows and scenarios are supported. I will draw the workflows and the supported features to a close as we are pressed for time. But I do want to spend a few more minutes showing Business Manager 6, which is the latest version of the technology. Business Manager Lite is very compatible with Trados Studio 2019. For those of you who are still using 19, I think the poll suggested half of you. But for those of you who are interested about upgrading or who are using Trados Studio 2021, yes, the latest version of Business Manager will be of interest to you. So here we go. Trados Business Manager, in some sense, is a separate application. It does work quite nicely in the background, although it does still hold very tight integrations with Studio. Sorry, let me just bring that one view back up again. So when you are working with a later version of Business Manager, rather than engaging with it here on the bottom left, as I have been doing, you will be going to the projects view, and you can see here you have all the buttons you need to create a quote and an invoice. Based on the project that you have selected. And when you click these items, these buttons, the later version of Business Manager is presented, in this case, version 6. As you can see, its look and its feel is far more refined. And when you launch it up for the very first time, locally onto your machine, one of the first landing pages is the dashboard. Here again, we have some kind of reflection on the projects that we see in Studio, and you can see some of the projects are currently being worked on, as well as the translation jobs. And I think this is a very nice one to highlight, because not all of the jobs are going to be just simply to translate and review. Some of the jobs is to do DTPing work, which is not typically something that Studio would actually be helping you with, but you still want to keep tabs on where you are with that particular task. So anything that you're doing for your customers outside strict localization, like DTPing, early engineering, source refinement prior to localization, all of these jobs you should be charging, you should be paid for, and they need to be managed. And so Business Manager is managing these jobs for you, and we can see a table of the jobs here. The dashboard can be customized. There are many different types of dashboards. One of them as well here is the customer dashboard. So these would be your customers that you want to have a quick overview and assessment about. We can see any quotes, any jobs, and I quite like this view here at the bottom. If I just scroll down, and having this lovely rich information, which typically I think a lot of you said you were using Excel for, but all of this is now automated and very integrated with live information, no risk of formulas breaking, and yet you can still get the lovely bar graphs and pie charts if you want. Plus they are can be interactive in the sense that I want to compare my first year against my current year of trading as a little one-man business, or indeed if I want to just perhaps look at the results against certain areas of specialization, you can see how the reports are reactive. The reporting is not just that of the dashboard. There is a more comprehensive report available. If I were to come to quick reports and templates, and if I were to take the dashboard customer report as an example, even more granular information. It's at this stage I can also say that the type of reports that you now see in Business Manager 6 clearly is far more extensive than what we saw in Business Manager Lite. So that's already a good incentive to upgrade between the plugin and the Essentials version. And yet again, these are somewhat interactive. I can actually click on a particular year and have either breakdown or a summary view. I can extend the timelines and click in certain areas, and the technology will kind of react with me through these interactive widgets. Again, everything about the reports can be customized so that the information you're seeing is meaningful for you. With all of this in mind, there's a number of settings that I also want to perhaps bring to your attention. So if you come to your settings over here, and just to highlight a couple of them. Firstly, integrations. If you are going to use Trados Live, as Nicole had so perfectly positioned in the beginning, you can have direct integrations with Trados Live if you want. With your own instance, credentials can be saved and stored here. And even if you weren't really wanting to go that far and just stick with your reliable Trados Studio, that's absolutely fine. This is where I spent the bulk of my time. But still, the headache for the average freelancer is just delivering content back to end users, emailing those invoices, emailing those quotes, being sure that they're actually going to receive them and things don't get lost in inboxes. You might just find that actually working with cloud drives and having a platform agreed where you'll deliver your target content, deliver your documentation, Business Manager can support that as well through various providers like Dropbox or Google Drive. So Business Manager version 6 is going to support this for you too. Again, another nice reason to upgrade from the Business Lite. Other areas to bring to your attention or features just quickly while I'm spending my time on this newer version is here under application settings. I did take note that a big portion of you were using Excel to help manage the kind of business around localization, which is fine for your invoice tracking and payments made, payments been waiting, quotes and so forth, but nothing beats having a real-time exchange rate converter. Again, I think a very nice touch to make sure that when you are working across multiple countries, multiple currencies, you can use any one of these providers, so that when you are to look at your financial reports and say, sorry family, we don't have enough to make it to Disneyland, but I'll tell you what, we can have a nice stay-com local to your home instead, or maybe you're wanting to move house or make some other personal financial plans in place. Having the latest currencies and the conversions around that is really important to make sure that every literally pound and penny is as accurate as possible as you try forecast your next best step moving forward, so that you remain above the game, so to speak. So again, I think this is a very nice additional feature if you want to be so granular and detailed in your setup and in your business. Now, as I am moving between the technologies, you may have noticed here we've got different tabs opening, because the reality is when you are managing these things, maybe jumping between projects and your clients and doing some other configurations, referencing, somebody's called you on the phone and you kind of lost your place. It's very nice that the technology remembers the areas that you were working at. So it's very easy for us to kind of come back to where we were at, so we can continue our efforts in that particular area here. Trados Business Manager stores up to 6 kind of tabs. So again, I can toggle between these 6 as I deal with day-to-day distractions without wasting too much time, and I can actually get the information or the task done that I was trying to achieve. With all of this in mind, if I were to come to the projects view, again, these are the projects that we kind of see within Studio, or these are projects that were created directly within Business Manager or through Trados Live Cloud. It doesn't matter how these projects originate. We support so many different workflows, but the scenario might be that you actually want to navigate and find something quite specific. If we were to look at the type of information that is held at project view within Studio, we are limited to the project name, the date, and some project details here, which we can't filter on anyway. This does make it a bit problematic, but what we do support in Business Manager is live filters. So here I want to find all my projects that are specific to IT software localization, and we can see here we have a very easy or narrowed view, and I can try and find the information I'm looking at. So overall navigation within Business Manager Essential is definitely an area of improvement compared to using the light version that I used. Just 2 more points I want to raise, and I'll be concluding, is yes, apart from invoices and quotes, which different individuals will work with in different ways, one of the other key points for Business Manager is just for you to be able to manage your clients and the profiles around your clients. So if I were to come to an example of what a client profile would look like, here again, we can specify some basic information about the client and the contacts. Here again, we've got two different contacts, but we can make it very clear. Speak to this contact for, because they're the person who gives me the work, but speak to Lisa because she's the person who actually pays me, and let's speak to not the wrong Christopher, but the right one, because they're going to help me with, I don't know, onboarding or new potential work coming up in the future. So the greatest level of information is available, and alongside this will be again the customized price lists. So all the basic information around how to manage your clients and the impact and the choices you make is all supported directly through Business Manager. And whilst I appreciate that this particular view seems a little bit more daunting compared to the view I was in when I was within Studio, do not be disheartened, do not be overwhelmed or shy, because it is possible that we can completely change and customize the type of information you're seeing, how it is presented, and certainly declutter anything that you don't actually deem relevant. So a fair amount of customization around not only reporting, but your documentation like invoicing, quoting, and how you actually engage with the technology. These settings here will guide you through the process. And if you have any questions, Nicole and I will be more than happy to answer as we wrap up this afternoon session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lydia. Thank you, Nicole, as well. Well, we've seen so much today, and we have overrun. We've been getting loads of questions in the chat. I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind, maybe if we just cover just a few of the questions now, and then perhaps as a follow-up, we can then cover the other questions in writing. But just to give a few of the questions, people who put questions in, a chance to have them read out. Would that be okay?
More than fine. Well, it's our fault we've overrun, so I appreciate everyone staying with us till the end.
Great. Okay. So I'll try and cover some of the questions we've had. So we're getting some questions on the Business Manager, which looks very interesting. The time tracker feature is also I found very interesting. So we've got questions here about using. Is it possible to create purchase orders to be sent to other translators when I'm working with them on a larger project, hence temporarily acting as an agency, or would I need the team version for this?
Yeah, so generating purchase orders is something that is a feature supported in the Team Enterprise version, and not something that Business Manager Lite or Essential would be supporting. Although you did see in my examples, there is the column where you can at least mark what is the reference for the PO number. So if you're going to manage that creatively outside the solution, at least you have got very clear reference and trackability for those all-important purchase orders. There are some people I do know who use the quotes like a purchase order as well. So again, I think there's enough in the technology to be creative around how you want to support quotes and purchase orders moving forward.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Yes. Okay. Does Business Manager help with logging details about prospective clients, e.g. LSPs you may have applied to but are still waiting for a response from?
Yes, and I think the fact that there you have very clear statuses about you've sent work to them, it may be you've sent a quote, you may have even sent some test sample work so that you're waiting for their feedback so they can kind of grade you with the statuses, then yes, I think you'll have good indications on who you want to work with and who you don't want to work with based on any number of factors.
Brilliant. Okay. Another one on Business Manager, which I think you answered, but I'll ask it anyway just to be sure. Whether tasks can be added to Business Manager that were carried out in other tools, so in other CAT tools, presumably.
Yes, obviously Business Manager does hold very tight integrations with Trados Studio, but nothing stops you using Business Manager outside of the Trados family, which would be a sad thing for us. But yes, there's certainly enough in there for you to work quite nicely as a companion alongside other solutions. Okay,
that's good to know. Okay, great. A number of questions with regards to sort of getting started with the software, sort of training, getting started, resources, how easy or challenging is it to get going with Trados? I don't know if maybe Nicole, that's something you'd like to touch upon as well as Lydia?
Yeah, definitely. So I think I mentioned right at the beginning, one of the things we pride ourselves on is the number of resources and help and support that we provide for our customers to get up and running with the software. So not only do we have product videos available on the website that clearly show feature by feature how you can get started, we also offer a number of getting started webinars. What is a catch-all if you're still unsure, beginner's guide to Trados Studio, etc. And we host these every month, so that's a great thing to know as well. On top of that, we have e-learning courses that you can choose to participate in and purchase, and yeah, almost become certified with a little certificate in our e-learning. Yeah, and we also host events. The number of resources that we have is really endless, and I think we're quite unique in the number of resources that we offer our customers as well. And that's not even mentioning the community where you can physically come and post questions, the RWS community. So yeah, it is a very good resource center available on our website.
Great. Okay.
If I were just to extend on that in specific context to Business Manager, there's an awful lot of very comprehensive YouTube tutorials that actually walk you through the actual workflows. A very good summary of what I've basically demonstrated today, and arguably even a bit better than what I managed to muddle through. But in addition to that, when it comes to setting it up, you don't have to just spend endless amount of time getting every box filled in and every field defined. It's something that you can define as you go along. So when I created a quote, there wasn't, for example, a sufficient field for me to say, but I want to do review on a per page basis. You can customize and add this type of service information as you go along. So your configuration of Business Manager will just get better the more you use it. It doesn't have to be perfect from day one.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. And just to sort of bring us back to the start of the session, really, there are questions regarding the Trados Live Essential version, and that there's a few questions about whether you need Trados to work with that, how the two sort of combine, really, or whether it's something that's a standalone.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I don't think I made that abundantly clear. At the moment, Trados Live is only available for Trados Studio 2021 customers. It isn't available to purchase on its own. So if you're interested in working in the cloud, then purchasing or upgrading to the latest version is currently the only way to access it.
Okay. We've had a couple of questions regarding a sort of voice to speech software, a general one and one specifically referring to Dragon, naturally speaking, whether that works with Studio 21.
Yes,
so anything you can say about that?
I was waiting for this answer. Yes, there are many customers who do use Norton Natural Dragon speaking very well within the technology. It wouldn't be something new. It's just not something that we proactively develop and actually test when we roll out new versions. So I can confirm and verify that a lot of people use it very successfully, but that is something that they are managing kind of, should I say, on their own best interest, and not something that we are proactively testing when we roll out technology.
Okay. A question on translation engines and whether they need to be purchased separately.
I guess either of us could answer that one, but no, translation engines are just a new setting, almost a new way of grouping together your resources that are available in Trados Live. So it's not an additional purchase. If you're working with translation memories, with term bases, with machine translation, it's simply a different way to group those resources together so that when it comes to creating a project, you don't have to spend time adding each resource individually. It's helpful if you're using the same resources together, and then you can add them at once through a translation engine. I think I explained that okay.
Okay. Yeah. I think the concern is if somebody is brand new to it and they don't have translation memories, they don't have term bases, then yes, you're just going to have to grow these as you start translating and doing your revision work. And this is where the App Store becomes again very resourceful and very helpful, because there's a lot of references that you can leverage from there a lot of dictionaries, lots of machine translation providers, lots of other translation memories. So yeah,
just
you
to
either
add to
take
that
what
as
you've
well.
got, or you use external references.
Yeah, just to add to that, as Lydia was showing with machine translation, one thing to note is if you've got a translation memory attached to your project, as you are translating with machine translation and saving segments to your translation memory, you're building your translation memory with machine translation results. So that's also another way to quickly build up your translation resources with machine translation.
Right. Okay. Great. Okay. If you only have an XGlyph file from the customer, can that now be uploaded to the cloud? It couldn't last year.
Yes, it's the simple answer. As with any product, when we first release it, there are going to be a few things that may have possibly not been ready or may have been overlooked. And we were aware at the time that you could not open SDL XLIF in the cloud,
Right.
but it is now available as a source file.
Okay, great. A question, I guess this is maybe more on the marketing side, but somebody who has Studio 2019 and hasn't yet upgraded not using yet enough to upgrade to 21, so they're wondering whether they should keep SDL Trados 2019 on their CV profile or whether they should adjust that to the new branding. I don't know if you have any comments on that.
As in, is the question then around the name of the product?
I guess
now
it's
that
around the name, yes, and RWS and the switch to SDL. Well,
I guess arguably, even if you're still using a previous version, all Trados Studio has now been rebranded. So maybe for best practice, yes, I'd definitely recommend it going forward, because SDL is no longer a brand, really.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Just to extend on these two versions, if you are on 19 and what you've seen today with 21 and the Trados Live kind of package scenario things, you can have both versions side by side. So please don't worry, if 2019 is your reliable version of choice today, nothing stops you trialing it side by side in your own time.
And remember, we have upgrade prices as well, so you don't have to pay the whole original price over again to upgrade from one version to another. It's a smaller fee. So
okay. So some questions on the App Store. Are the apps all vetted? And are the apps that are shown that are free only available through Trados?
So I can answer that one as I'm in that team already. I can confirm that the apps are vetted. Certainly the apps that we as RWS develop, we have a team of developers. They kind of check each other's code, and then there's a team of end users like myself. I will test and make sure that it's performing the function that it was designed to do, and all of this takes place before it actually goes on the websites to make sure that you have a kind of optimal experience if you choose to use the apps. I feel like there was a second half to the question.
The second question was, which I'm trying to sort of group them together, was around whether the free apps that are on the App Store, whether they're also available, outside of the Trados kind of world, as it were, Trados sphere.
Yes, it's a bit hard to understand what the actual question is, but yes, some apps are for free, some apps are chargeable. It doesn't matter that these apps are initially accessible via the STL App Store, but if somebody is going to take an app and develop it privately for their own use and they want to keep it for themselves, they're kind of free to do that. If somebody wants to take an app and put it on their own website and help evangelize the app outside of the App Store, then that too might be a reality. But all I can say is that yes, the apps are tested and vetted before we allow them to go public.
Okay.
I think I can expand on that just really quickly. In terms of, are the apps available to use outside of Trados? The apps obviously are primarily built with the purpose for them to be used in conjunction with Trados Studio or Trados products. Some of them are standalone apps, as you may see on the App Store. You can either use it inside Studio or outside Studio, but at the end of the day, they are all really Trados compatible, aren't they, Lydia? If I'm not mistaken,
yes,
they're not really to be used sort of with other cat tools, for example.
Okay. A question around the trial version and the question is whether it's safe for a freelancer to use. I guess I guess the meaning is that is there any difference between the trial version and the full version, or I don't know, would your data be kept by Trados? I guess it's something along those lines.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, Trados Business Manager or even Trados Studio, they're desktop products. So
Okay.
you're not putting anything into the cloud in our desktop products.
Okay.
So in terms of security, that is, there's no concerns with us having your data in that respect. In terms of the trials themselves, I should have mentioned we do have a Business Manager trial and a Trados Studio trial available on the website on trados.com that you can access. The Trados Studio trial is available for 30 days. And after that point, you will have to purchase a license and input an activation code in order to continue using it. Trados Business Manager is 15 Trados Business Manager Essential, which is the latest version of Trados Business Manager that Lydia showed you at the end, is available again off the website, the trial, and it's 15 quotes and 15 invoices that you can trial with before the license expires. If you're using Trados Studio 2019 and you'd like to look at Trados Business Manager Lite, where Lydia did the majority of her demo in Business Manager Lite, to access that, it's only available off the App Store. So it's not, you won't find Business Manager Lite because it's an older version on our website. Okay. It's only on the App Store. And again, you get access to a free trial, 15 quotes and 15 invoices.
Okay. That's fantastic. I think I see it's 4:27 already, so we are well over. So thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Lydia. That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you to everybody still listening. We've actually still got 134 people, believe it or not, even though we've overrun, still on this call. So thank you so much, and maybe the ones who had to leave might catch the end of this when they get the recording, which will be sent within 3 working days. If everybody, you can log, our members can log the CPD under My CPD, especially if you're a chartered translator, please do that. I do believe that Trados are running a free prize draw for a person who's attended the webinar. The details of that will follow by email, along with, again, I believe there is a discount for people who are on the event. And I think with that, that's it. I'd just like to thank Trados and MemoQ as well for sponsoring this event, which helped us to make it free for all our viewers. And so once again, thank you very much, Nicole, for the presentation. Thank you very much, Lydia, for the demo and all the technical answers. Thanks to Nadine from CIOL in the background to help this all run smoothly. And most of all, thanks to all our members and even non-members, translators who've been watching this event. And thank you very much. We shall close the webinar now. Thanks once again.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.